How's it going, everybody? You are watching the Milman Podcast. This is episode 4. My name is Michael Milman, and I have Avi Milman with me.
What's up, guys?
Avi is very excited because his chair was upgraded. He was
Yeah.
sitting on a foldable chair. He was complaining to me because the first 3 episodes, he was complaining that his ass got sore.
Major sore.
Major sore for talking to me over an hour. And now he's all excited. He has this. He brought this from his room. Actually, it's not like I ordered a chair or anything.
It's not like I got a promotion or anything.
But we're buying you a new chair tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool.
I'm buying.
You're buying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go to the store with you. So that's why I said
help.
we.
I guess you're gonna help me put it together.
I'm piggybacking off your.
Yeah.
It's funny because like there was a Seinfeld episode like that. Why is my chair why is my chair creaking like that? Ugh. Oh my god, I just noticed that. Did that happen in the past?
Yeah, I think you just noticed it.
I just noticed it now.
Yeah,
that's weird.
My chair's also mad loud. Now it's not, but like in my room, it's like.
Do I have to put like oil on it or something?
Yeah, you just spray it.
No, seriously.
Probably around like No, but it's plastic. I don't know.
I gotta look that up.
Do you put oil on a chair?
Do you put oil on a chair so it wouldn't? That's kind of annoying. Anyway, that reminds me of like in Seinfeld, the episode with George Costanza. He bought Elaine the big salad, and then his girlfriend gave her the salad, and then she thanked her, not George, for the big salad.
Yeah.
So right now, that's what I kind of did with you. I was like, yeah, we're going to go buy you a chair tomorrow.
Yeah.
Although you're paying for it, even though I'm just tagging along.
Yeah, well, I guess you will help me put it together. So, I mean, I hope so at least.
Probably not. I don't have time.
Chairs are hard to put together.
Are they?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's a shame.
Because they're just big, bulky parts.
Yeah, man. Wow, I didn't realize that because like I put together IKEA furniture in the past, or shit I ordered on Amazon. It was kind of easy to put together, but I guess I never put a chair together. So,
well, I guess like IKEA is made for just like it's like a puzzle piece, like 1, 2, 3, and you're done.
Yeah, IKEA shit is really easy to put together,
Yeah.
I should say. But speaking of Seinfeld, rest in peace, Jerry Stiller. Right?
Yeah.
Can't believe he died today, 92 years old. He's going to be most known for Ben Stiller's dad and Frank Costanza from Seinfeld. He was also on King of Queens, but I wasn't a fan of the show. And then he was in a lot of different movies. But, as sad as it is, thank God he died at an older age. He died, of natural
92.
causes. And yeah, it didn't seem like he had any pain. It was just his time. Could he have lived longer? Sure. I'm sure he could have lived at least another 5 years, right? But
the other day I was saying like wow, he got so old, because we're so used to seeing him on Seinfeld all the time.
Where did you see him that you said, wow, he got so old?
That group, the Seinfeld group?
Yeah. We're both part of. There's a Seinfeld group on Facebook. 38,000 members.
Something like that,
yeah. Yeah, it's called No Seinfeld Group for You.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that Soup Nazi episode. No soup for you.
Yeah,
so.
It's kind of lame actually, but whatever.
No, it's not. Like if you're a true Seinfeld fan, that group is freaking awesome because all you do all day is just quote Seinfeld and put pictures, and you have to be the biggest Seinfeld nerd to enjoy that. And I know a lot of people are probably like, yo, you guys are losers because you're doing that. But it's fun because we're fans, and fuck you because you probably do that with like Spider-Man and shit. So
yeah,
why can't we do that with Seinfeld?
While we go chair shopping, we just make Seinfeld comments in the group.
It's just a lot of fun. And whoever is a huge diehard Seinfeld fan would understand. But you know what? If you're a fan of Friends, or any show, you'd probably be doing the same thing and enjoy it. By the way, I gotta say, man, because of the quarantine, I've been watching a lot of Friends. It's always on TV during the day.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know. Like, out of all the shows, they just have the most airtime.
You know what's funny? Every time you turn on the TV, you'll most likely catch Friends.
definitely. And I used to have a love-hate relationship with Friends, and I mostly just thought, Friends kind of sucks. Like, it's kind of corny. I gotta admit, man, I kind of grew very. I mean, listen, Seinfeld's still my top show. Don't get me wrong, but Friends, yeah, I actually really like Friends. It's funny.
It's
I'm
like
embarrassed to kind of say it, but I like it.
well, that's good. You finally came out.
I know, I this is like me coming out of the Friends closet.
And hey, I accept you.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But I'm still your friend. I'll still be there for you.
Yeah, man. Like right now, I'm an open fan of the show Friends. I'm not afraid to hide that anymore.
Well, you know what it is? It's a watchable show. So it's
It
like
is a
you're
watchable
eating,
show.
It's like there's nothing else on. What are you gonna watch? Judge Judy? I mean, I guess no, but it's
Hell
kind
no.
of depressing.
But like I was in the kitchen eating a sandwich, and there was this Friends episode on, and then I finished eating the sandwich. So I quickly turned the TV off in the kitchen, and I ran up to my room.
Wow.
And I put the TV on because I wanted to finish that episode.
Even
even though I've seen it in the past.
This world definitely changed after coronavirus.
Absolutely. I started really liking Friends. I actually looked down on Friends. My favorite shows were always Seinfeld, Two and a Half Men, That 70s Show, Big Bang Theory. And I'm talking about sitcoms, like, with the stupid laugh track in the background. I guess How I Met Your Mother somewhat. That show like really actually fell off like after a while. The first few seasons were great, and then that show just fell off. And season 9 was the worst thing I think I've ever seen on television in my life. And thank God that their finale was actually great. Now again, this is for the show How I Met Your Mother, and a lot of people actually I think agree with me, because when I complained about it on some thread online, a lot of people were like, yeah, they knew exactly what I was talking about. But either way, Friends is really up there. It really is. It's a great show.
How I Met Your Mother is like a poor man's version of Friends.
Definitely. And I used to think How I Met Your Mother is probably better than Friends, because like every season of How I Met Your Mother would start, I was actually really excited. It was like really cozy because it was fall. And like, that's when all the TV shows start. And it was New York City where it took place. And they were just like going out, and they were pretty much living the life I was living. They were young, going out, trying to get girls, Ted and Barney, going to a bar. And I feel like I was living that life, so I could relate to them. And I also wanted, like Ted, I wanted to be in a serious relationship. I was like looking for the right person to be with. And, that's why I could relate to the show. And it was really good. It was corny sometimes, but mostly it was really funny. And, I felt like I could pardon the corniness. But after a while, man, they just screwed up, man. They just really screwed up.
I bet you they try to make How I Met Your Mother like the new version of Friends, because it's like the same shit.
I don't think so, though. I don't think so. I really don't think so. I feel like it was its own thing. Friends was just like, hey, we're all friends. It was kind of like Seinfeld in a way, just with a younger. So the reason why I think Friends was always more popular than Seinfeld, although it kills us to say this because we're huge Seinfeld fans, and the way I look at Seinfeld is, first of all, okay, so I started to become a fan of Seinfeld in my teenage years, and when I first started watching it on TV, because it was right after The Simpsons was on Channel 5, every time Seinfeld would come on, I was like, oh, what is this show? Because it wasn't really appealing to watch. You're just watching a bunch of middle-aged people, right? And that's what they almost were. They weren't quite middle-aged, but they were in their 30s, and I was like a teenager. So at the time, I probably would have liked Friends more.
Right.
So these guys in Seinfeld, they're like up there in age, and it's like, what is this? But when you actually get into it, it's like an acquired taste, but it's like, wow, this show is amazing. And I think it's so unique and it's genius that Seinfeld goes down in history as one of the greatest shows ever made. And I put it up there in the category of Honeymooners and I Love Lucy. One of those legendary TV shows that will always have respect, because there's a handful of shows that are just like whatever, one and done, or like, unfortunately, I feel like that about That 70s Show. I love That 70s Show. I'm a huge fan of That 70s Show. I don't think it's going to necessarily age well. I don't think it's going to be one of those shows that, 50 years later, people will necessarily watch.
How old is it?
That 70s Show? It's only, it premiered 22 years ago. I believe in 1998, that's when it premiered. And it ended in 2006, I believe. So it's not that old of a show. I mean, it's old, but it's not that old. It's younger than Seinfeld and Friends.
I wouldn't say it's that mainstream.
It wasn't even that mainstream. And I think maybe because of the network it was on Channel 5. And Channel 5 wasn't necessarily popular for sitcoms. In fact, I think...
They had Simpsons.
But Simpsons is not like one of those sitcoms. It's an animated show. I'm talking about like those sitcoms, like there's a laugh track behind it.
Yeah.
So back in the 90s, you had Married with Children. That was hot.
On Fox?
On Fox. I was never necessarily a huge fan. I was a kid. I didn't really get the show. And watching it now, I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe I have to like sit down and actually watch it to really like it. So far, I'm not like crazy about the show. I respect it. It's a cult classic, I think. But Seinfeld is just an excellent show. And Friends is up there. And I can understand why people like Friends better, because they could relate to Friends more. Or it's just captivating really quick. It catches your attention quickly. It's a bunch of good-looking young people. And it's just about love and relationships and all that bullshit.
And sex.
I used to hate the character Ross.
It's mostly about sex.
I mean, every show is. Seinfeld was about sex too. Like, right? In Seinfeld, Jerry, George, they always had a new girlfriend. Kramer, Elaine always had a new boyfriend. It was always like about that as well. So the only thing that Friends has on Seinfeld, I think, is just youth and looks. Really. But also it's the kind of humor.
It's a totally different humor.
It's a totally different humor, actually, because Friends is more like innocent humor that everybody can relate to, right? Seinfeld is like offensive humor that a lot of people... Like, recently we saw an article that millennials were getting upset because they were watching Seinfeld. They're like, oh, this is so offensive. And I'm thinking, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean?
Seinfeld
like,
never
it's
do
comedy.
well.
Relax.
Yeah, Seinfeld will never do well during these times.
Yeah. If Seinfeld premiered today, it would probably fail. Especially the way it premiered, because the history behind Seinfeld is so rich. It's they had a really rough start. They were about to get canceled so many times, and that's why it's a very inspiring story of what Seinfeld, how they started, and of what became of them. Because many times they were about to get canceled. They don't even know, like the producers or whatever, the executives of Channel 4 of NBC were like, we don't even know why you're on. Why are you even on? Oh, whatever, we're going to cancel you, so do whatever the hell you want. And then, like, the first 3 seasons were whatever, and then, boom, season 4 just hit.
I was just watching a video with Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Jason Alexander.
Mm-hmm. Which are George and Elaine.
Yeah, and they were saying how she didn't even know, like, there's some of the episodes they're filming, so I guess they film once a week. And she thought, like, oh, it could be canceled anytime, or they're gonna scrap that whole episode and they're not gonna let it air. And then they didn't even realize, like, they knew no one was watching, so for them it was like whatever. And it's such a different experience than anything else that they thought that they were used to. Whereas they're saying how I think it was the Chinese restaurant or that other episode, the contest.
Right.
Like, the network told Larry David, who was the producer of the show, obviously, like, yeah, you guys shouldn't be doing this, or you can do this, or something like that. Or no, they didn't say you can't, but they said you shouldn't. And then Larry told them, well, they didn't say we can do it, and they did it anyway. And it's so genius because they literally did like what most, I guess, traditional sitcoms don't do.
Right.
And I think that's why it's so unique.
That's what's so unique, and I think that's what just caught everybody's attention because it was so different. And they really just premiered at the right place at the right time. Because, like you said, if this happened today, I don't know if anybody would watch this show.
No. It's also inspiring, though.
It is very inspiring because, again, they were going to get canceled many, many times. Like, the whole story of Larry David is very inspirational, right? Larry David was a bum living with his parents. He was a stand-up comic that wasn't successful. I think he worked on SNL and then got fired from SNL, something like that. And he just happened to be at the right place at the right time at the comedy club when Jerry Seinfeld saw him there and said, "Hey, you wrote something, didn't you? Or you would write something in the past, whatever. You want to help me write a show for NBC?" He's like, "I don't know. All right." So he had no idea what the hell he was doing. He wrote one episode barely. And then when the network actually picked up 4 more episodes, he was like, "Oh man, how, he just wanted to get paid for that one episode." He was stressed out that he was getting like the success in a weird way. And then they picked up for season 2, and he just, and he, whatever, long story short, he blew up. And now they're both, I think Jerry is already a billionaire, and I think Larry's almost a billionaire, right? He's worth, 900 something $million.
Shit ton of money.
So their story is extremely inspirational. And I gotta say, even though How I Met Your Mother screwed up, like, they had so much potential for that show, and it's still like a decent show. I'll still watch reruns sometimes, but even that show was very inspirational because I heard they weren't doing well, even though like the earlier seasons were great. And season 3 came along, and they decided to get Britney Spears on the show as a guest. At the time, Britney Spears was going through her crazy stage where she shaved her head and she was just going nuts. Remember that time?
Yeah.
So Britney and How I Met Your Mother kind of needed each other, because How I Met Your Mother was failing, and the network was leaning toward canceling the show. So because Britney came on the show, the ratings went up like crazy, and that helped revive her image in a way and put her on the right path with her career, I guess, put her back on track with entertainment. And that gave How I Met Your Mother enough publicity and fame where the show just blew up. People liked it, and they stayed on for 9 seasons, which is very impressive.
What season did she come on?
Season 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's great that some networks give shows a chance. Like, and it's funny, right? Because season 3 was the season where they're like, and then Seinfeld, the first 3 seasons were like, and then season 4 blew up. So it's nice to see that networks would give a show. Some shows get canceled right away, or after 1 season, they're just done. And, like, look at the show. I forgot the name of the show, but there was a show that, oh man, it was not that long ago. It was like maybe 5-6 years ago, right? So basically, David Krumholtz was in the show, and he had a best friend who was gay. Okay, David Krumholtz himself wasn't gay in the show, but his best friend was gay. And then the guy who played Superman, Brandon Roth, was in it as, I think, the gay guy's boyfriend. I think
I remember it.
Right. So that show, I think I was watching because I think it premiered after How I Met Your Mother, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's what it was. And after just 4 or 5 episodes, they just canceled the series. And instead, they put reruns of 2.5 Men during that time slot. And 2.5 Men had new episodes on Thursdays, I believe. And this was on Mondays, so they would just put reruns of 2.5 Men from the same season. And I think the reason why I heard this happen is because the show's very unpopular with Middle America because of the main character being gay. One of the main characters was gay and very flamboyant. He was like flaming homosexual, right? So I think that audiences just like...
It's probably too early for its time.
It's too early for its time, and I think audiences didn't want to watch it for that reason. because yeah, people in California watched it, people in New York watched it, but all over the country, people are still not there yet. So because of that, and because of ad money, it wasn't performing well. They had to cancel, but that's crazy, right? So maybe that got canceled for that reason, but who knows? Maybe if that character wasn't gay, let's say, or maybe he wasn't as flamboyant, maybe the show would survive.
What year did you say it came out?
I don't remember. I really don't remember what year.
Before 2010?
I would say after 2010. It
But
wasn't as long ago as we think.
it was probably, I think it was because it was too early for its time, and and I think a show has to do well in not just New York and California, but
Right,
throughout the
all
country.
over the country.
And then also it has to be accepted in other countries too.
Right, but there is a show, I could have sworn that there's a gay person as the main character and it's successful. Can't think of it. Isn't there a show like that?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I mean, I don't know.
Oh man, could have sworn.
There's a lot of sitcoms though. Is it like, you mean like on TV or?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many sitcoms and shows now. It's like the golden era of TV, as they say.
Right, but whatever. It's funny because like I said, I said Seinfeld was so great, right? And I love it because I think it's just a smart show and it's unique and it's a legendary classic now. And I enjoy all the classics, right? Like I
That's
Love
why it's not as
Lucy.
popular as Friends, because it's not as you have to think about it.
Right. Friends I think is a little simpler.
Yeah.
With it's just it's just straight to the point. It's simpler. It's more of a comedy that's innocent, that doesn't necessarily offend anyone really, and I feel like it attracts more of a wider that's why they beat Seinfeld as being the greatest show of all times, or just a higher ranked, which me and you disagree, of course, but also we don't know how credible these sources are anyway.
Exactly. It's all biased.
It's all biased. It's all relative, as they say, right? Because you can have one source saying Seinfeld's the best and another source saying Friends is the best. But, it's great how you can just enjoy different comedies, for different reasons. Like Two and a Half Men, I would say, is just a really stupid show, right?
Yeah.
It's a stupid show because
stupid.
think about it. Every episode's the same shit. Charlie's a player. He goes out, he gets a new girl every night, has sex with her, and his brother's pathetic, can't catch a break. But sometimes he hooks up with hot girls too. But I have to
And then
admit,
the son is a loser.
yeah,
He's like a dumbass.
I have to admit though, I love the show. I love it.
It's
I
one of
I
those
can't
shows
get
you
enough.
just watch when you just want to get a break, and just chill and watch.
I enjoy watching Charlie Sheen. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think and Alan's great too. I forgot his name. Damn, I forgot his
the son.
No, Alan, his real name.
Oh, his real name. Well,
Whatever. It'll come to us. But
he's funny too. Yeah.
I gotta say, and don't get me started about the Ashton Kutcher Two and a Half Men. It's a different.
You already started. So
it's a different show, and Alan really stepped up to carry the show on his back, which he did a great job. No disrespect to Ashton Kutcher, but I didn't really enjoy. You see, Avi's yawning because that's how bad that Ashton Kutcher series was, and it's funny because Ashton Kutcher was great in That 70s Show. I loved him there, and when he left, his replacement kind of sucked. Seth Meyers' brother. And then Ashton Kutcher was also great in The Ranch. He has a Netflix show, The Ranch. But on Two and a Half Men, he sucked, and it's not his fault. He's basically trying to replace Charlie Sheen, which is very hard to do. And
it's like the opposite.
Complete opposite. But I'm really impressed with the show, though, in a sense where they didn't say, you know what? We want you to be like Michael Kelso from That 70s Show, but now on Two and a Half Men, because we need you to be silly to replace Charlie Sheen. They just made him very smart, and it was a completely different approach, but it just didn't work for me. There was some episodes that were good. It was decent, but every time it's on, I'm just like,
How many seasons did it go on?
they had 4, which is not bad.
It's not bad.
Not bad at all. But some episodes were just really stupid. I'm like, oh God, man, I miss Charlie Sheen so much, you know? I'm really pissed at 2.5 Men and Charlie Sheen that for the sake of the fans, they couldn't put their, differences aside and just team up for a series finale appearance for Charlie Sheen. That's every fan's dream. In that 70s show, the 2 characters, Michael Kelso and Eric Foreman, they left. They came back for the series finale. But damn, Charlie Sheen couldn't come back because him and, what's the guy's name? Chuck Lorre. Chuck Lorre. Yeah. They couldn't get along on the premise of who cares? That show's stupid. There's nothing smart about this show. Who gives a shit which premise it is? We just want to see Charlie Sheen in the episode.
Probably wouldn't have even lasted another 4 seasons if he was still there. Because what could they possibly talk about?
Well, if Charlie never left, if he never got fired, I don't think the show would go on as long as it did. I think it would end maybe they'd have another 2 more seasons, maybe 1 more season.
He left because he got caught.
He got fired.
Wasn't he found in like a hotel room with strippers?
Yeah,
like
he had a
like
very reckless lifestyle, and it was affecting his performance and on set and whatever. He was on drugs.
You could tell he was getting like
and it was really annoying to watch him in season 8 because he was always like uneasy. Even though he wasn't shaking much, you could just tell like something's up with this guy. And it just made me like nervous, and I just didn't want to watch him. I was very like turned off by that. So, at least we have the first 7 seasons, which were pretty good, right?
Yeah, and I think that's plenty.
That's plenty. So
with Seinfeld, it's just to go back and just to see how of a genius show it is, because they're doing a show in a show. How Jerry it's basically a show within a show, and then Curb is the same thing, like a reunion show within a show.
Yeah, I thought that was genius. So I didn't mention Curb Your Enthusiasm in this conversation because I don't put it in the category of a sitcom where you have a live studio audience laughing, with the laugh track. Curb is a great show, one of my favorite shows, our favorite shows. Also a genius show. I think that's what Larry David's vision of a show about nothing really is. Because in Seinfeld, they had to kind of implement some other stuff because it was on network television. It was a sitcom, with the laugh track studio watching. On HBO, now he could do whatever he wants. He has a reputation. So now it's literally a show about nothing. Like he's just...
The first 3 seasons were literally just him doing random
Especially the first 3 seasons. And then later it's pretty much the same though, just maybe a little different, but he's just talking to people, just a random conversation, just saying random things. And it's one of those shows I love because you just sit back and you just chill out.
That's the genius of it, because it also should tell everyone that they have to do what they believe is right, and they'll possibly achieve it. Because if they molded to what the network wanted, it would have sucked.
Right.
And it probably would have got canceled anyway.
Right.
And he would have been nobody. But since he didn't listen, he was very stubborn. It's not always good, but it worked out for him. And it showed how truly he's an artist. Him and Jerry, and then they got the perfect cast. So you gotta just do with what you go with what you believe.
What I always admired also about Seinfeld was that they were offered a season 10, right? It's funny because they go from borderline being canceled to the studio begging for a season 10. But what I loved about the creators was that they're like, you know what? We feel like we've had our run. We don't want to ruin this show. They wanted the show to age well and to end well. And they just stopped. Jerry Seinfeld got offered $5 million an episode for season 10, and he said no. So what I respect about the show is that they don't sell out. And the same thing, like, I feel like you have a lot of shows that sell out. Like, for instance, right now, what's the trend? Because of all these streaming services, they're reviving old shows and bringing them back for a spin-off, right? Friends is doing that. Mad About You did that. Full House, like they have a bunch of those shows, and the reason they do it is because they want that nostalgia. They're taking advantage of that nostalgia because that's what's hot now, the whole nostalgia thing. Suddenly, all these old shows are reviving, and they're trying to push their agenda by selling subscription to these, like Netflix with Fuller House, HBO Max with Friends, Mad About You with Spectrum TV, so
How's Spectrum TV?
yeah, Spectrum TV is Optimum Online streaming service, which I wouldn't get that.
How many streaming
And
services do you have?
yeah, there's so many freaking streaming services. It's like, can you imagine if you just get all of them? And I feel like I have Netflix and I barely watch everything on Netflix, let alone having HBO, Amazon, Hulu. I don't have time for all
Remember
that.
the point of a streaming service was also to get your cable bill to be cut in half.
It's going to become more
And
expensive.
now it's going to be more expensive because they're each charging their own fee.
Right. And TV's going up like crazy in price. I'm sorry, what am I saying? The internet is going up in price like crazy. And then you pay $15 per subscription, let's say.
Yo, I bet
That's going to run you up a lot of money.
I bet you the internet, now that you bring it up, I bet you it's going to be very expensive soon.
It will, because I remember when I first signed up for cable internet back in 2005, I think it was, or 2004 even. It was only like $15 or $20 a month.
Wow, how much is it now?
Now,
Like
on average, it's like $60 a month, on average. And it just keeps going up.
60 to 100, depending on the speed and stuff.
It depends on the speed, yeah. They give you like an entry price of $40 sometimes, but that's just for a year, and then goes up like $60.
In 5 years, I could easily see it $150.
I'm not surprised.
No cap.
So real quick, sorry, I just want to finish saying what I was saying with Seinfeld. What I respect about them, they don't sell out though. Like, they thought about a reunion. They didn't want to necessarily do a reunion. That's not who they are. But then in Curb Your Enthusiasm season 7, they did like a reunion without doing a reunion, which was genius. So
Yeah.
definitely respect the genius, the comedic genius behind Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, and the point that they're not selling out.
And, people just have to understand what it is. I mean, no offense if someone who doesn't find it funny is just, I guess, not a genius.
Well, I don't want to necessarily talk about this because we talked about it in the past and on our podcast. But comedy is the point of comedy is to take things that are serious in life,
Subjective.
and make a joke about it, and I love that. And I hate that comedy's dying because now everybody has to censor everything they say. Like Dave Chappelle was a victim of that. Dave Chappelle is hilarious, and he's a great person. Like, when you listen to him talk, he's very fair, he's very moderate, and people are attacking him for being sexist or racist or prejudiced, whatever it is, because of the jokes he's making. But that's comedy. And again, we mentioned that you could go too far. There are absolutely jokes that are not jokes, but not with Dave Chappelle. So, unfortunately, I feel like comedy's being very challenged. And the comedy that you had in the 1970s and 80s, you wouldn't get away with today. Everybody's so offended at any little thing now.
Yeah, I think it's eventually going to go away.
I really hope so. I really hope so. People need to learn how to take a joke. And that's why, and again, I'm just going to mention this real quick. Caitlyn Jenner is my hero now, because Caitlyn Jenner was in the roast of Alec Baldwin, as we said. And Caitlyn Jenner went up on stage and said, "It's okay. Make fun of me, and I'm going to make fun of you." And that's exactly what happened. And She was a great sport about the whole thing. She was an inspiration. She gives me hope with all this political correctness shit, you know?
What else she have to do?
What do you mean?
Like, what else she has? She's got nothing else to do.
She has nothing else to do. All she does is she still with that? I mean, I hate reality TV. I just hate it.
She probably makes
except for Jersey Shore. But is she still on the Keeping Up the Kardashians crap? Is she still there?
I think she still makes appearances like with her because she's got kids.
Yeah, sure. But oh man, don't even get me started with all that reality TV, Kim Kardashian crap. I can't stand it, man. That's why I used to hate Caitlyn Jenner. You know, not because of the whole sex change thing. Hell no, because I couldn't stand the Kardashian family. You know, they're everywhere, and for what? What the hell are they famous for, man? Don't even get me started on that. So, you know.
You know, now that I think about it, like I literally started thinking about it right now. And it's similar to like if someone's doing like what we're doing, like a podcast.
Right.
You know, or something else on YouTube or anything. Like they're just talking about their life and why people are watching them in the millions is because they're super rich. They're hot, you know, like depending on what your taste is. And they have all this just nice shit that they have, so people are attracted to that. So it's like I kind of get it now. Why people watch them.
All right. So here's the thing. I kind of get it too. All right. It's entertainment. Fine. But here's the thing.
It's not wholesome. I know what you're going to say.
Here's the thing. It's like I hate to admit that at one point I found Jersey Shore very entertaining because we were in Mexico. We had this tough time there and we were just in the hotel room all day and Jersey Shore was on. And it was just saved our lives in a way. Like all day we were just watching Jersey Shore and it was like entertaining and I hated to admit that I liked it. It's a stupid fucking show. I don't watch it anymore, by the way. I tried to watch the reunion and I was just like, I can't watch this shit, man. I just can't. So here's my thing with the Kardashians. Absolutely, you know, it's entertainment and they have every right to entertain and people watch this entertainment. Sure, absolutely. I get that part, right? But here's my problem. When you listen to music or when you watch movies and shit happens, people say, oh, this is a bad example, right? Like Eminem got shit for that. Or action movies that blow shit up get, shit for that because they're a bad example for the youth. But how about the Kardashians? So, yeah, you can argue it's just entertainment and it could be a bad example. But
then the youth shouldn't watch that shit then.
But I'm going to get to that, right? Actually. So my problem with the Kardashians is this. They're a reality show, right? They're not like an action movie or a rapper. They're a reality show. And people sometimes believe that reality, right? Hence the word reality means real. Although a lot of that show is scripted. Because we know people that were in a reality show, right? Like they made little appearances and they told us that it's all scripted. They tell you to say this. They manipulate where your house is located. You know, if you live in Queens, they make it seem like you live in Manhattan. So it's all scripted. It's entertainment. But people believe it's real. Because you know, there's nothing, you go by your name, you go by your, occupation. Like Curb Your Enthusiasm is, even though it's about Larry David, it's not a reality show because he's playing a fictional version of himself and all the other people are fake. Like the situations he gets into are fake. It's all scripted in a way.
But it comes from real events.
It comes with real events, but reality show is different. So people assume it's real and that's the problem. They think it's real and they emulate this lifestyle. And the problem I also have with Kim Kardashian is how she got famous. So what kind of example are we setting for young girls? You know, have sex with somebody, make a sex tape, and let it leak. And I think there was a trend of people trying that for a while. You know, and now, the American dream so when I was in high school, I love history, by the way. And what we learned that in the 1950s, 1960s, whatever, back then, the American dream was to get married, to have kids, to have a dog, to have a house, to have a car, go on vacation. That was the American dream. Seems legit, right? Now, when you look at the American dream, it's do nothing and be rich. Because that's what people want. They want money. They chase money. They don't actually want to work for that. They're entitled, and they're very materialistic. I think materialism is a disease. I think that it's great. And again, people accuse me of shit like when I say this, oh, you're a communist. Like they'll just say shit like that. And you can't just take what one person says and then twist that shit around. That's not how the world works. Just because you don't agree with what they're saying. It's okay to buy nice things. It's okay to drive a BMW. It's okay to buy a Louis Vuitton bag. If you have the money for it, right? Don't become obsessed. Like it's a fucking disease and that's all your life is about. Brands. And there's people that spend every penny they have on these things and then they have a lot of problems later because they're in debt.
That's how a lot of poor people stay poor.
Exactly. And this is the problem. I think this is why Kim Kardashian is a horrible example for youth because on top of all that, she's a reality star. So they think this is the way she's living. But not everybody's rich. Not everybody has Kim Kardashian money. That's the problem. That's the reality of it.
But you also have to make, but you also, I agree, but you also have to make your own decisions. Obviously, you can't follow somebody's footsteps. And she never said like, oh, I'm the great example.
Right. And you're right. To her credit, she never said she's a great role model or a great example. Actually, her mom, okay, go ahead.
What were you going to say?
I was going to just quickly say her mom did say that she's a great role model because she works hard. Bullshit. Listen, let's just say how it is. Okay, let's not try to put a lipstick on a pig, as they say. Okay, let's say it how it is. Kim Kardashian is a entertainer, and she entertains, and she gets paid for it. Don't try to tell me she's a role model and that we should follow her as an example. And if we work hard, we could be just like her. I'm sorry. I wouldn't want to be like Kim Kardashian, and I wouldn't want my future children to be like Kim Kardashian.
Hell no.
And I don't want to shit on her for that, for being an entertainer, but don't say you're a role model, first of all. Second of all, I want to say that when I said before I was getting to that, when you said that people shouldn't watch her, it's up to the parents. The parents should say, don't watch this, or you could watch this, but they actually have to sit down and invest their time and teach their children, like, look, I know you just because this says it's a reality show, it's not necessarily reality. And they should explain to their kid that this is a fantasy world and that what real life really means. That's what they should do.
Yeah, in a perfect world. But now, first of all, what age are we talking about here? If they have a phone, which,
teenagers, I guess.
If they have a phone, which they most likely do, and it's not a flip phone, they're gonna watch shit like this on their phones.
That's fine. Watch it. When I used to listen to Eminem when I was 13, and he would say shit like, he would say crazy shit. I don't even have to tell you. He would say crazy shit.
I think people should realize them for themselves, but
fine, watch it.
It's kind of like if you buy Jordans, how much are they? Like $200 to $225 a pop, for sneakers that are made in like a third world country, most likely.
In China, no?
In China,
it's made in China,
or other countries that have even lower costs of labor. So it's like it's not worth the value, and most people can't afford that kind of shit. It's mad expensive for fucking sneakers, and that's why people don't know how to become like Kanye West says, like to become like Walt Disney or Ralph Lauren. You got to spend your money on smart shit.
Right.
Not on brands like you were saying before.
Yeah, I remember when I was in junior high school, we had a career day kind of thing, and it wasn't like people's parents coming to talk to us. It was just random people. And this one guy said that, now he's a very successful businessman. He owns buildings, whatever. He says that, he came here as an immigrant to this country, and he would sweep floors, whatever. He would save all his money. And when he started to make some money, right? Like a little handful of money. He was very responsible with it. He wouldn't just go out and get a BMW necessarily. Instead, he would make business investments. You know what I mean? There's a time and a place, and I think
Back then it was easier to do that though.
no, even now, like people waste their money on stupid shit, man. I know this Russian kid, and he got an Audi. I remember, and I'm like, damn, man, that's expensive. And he says, come on, Mike. He's like, you know how Russians do it. He's like, we spend every penny on luxury, and we have nothing in our pockets. And this is now how everybody is. Everybody wants to show off like they got something when they don't have shit. That's why you have guys living with their parents and they drive Maseratis or expensive BMWs.
But that's why there's only a handful of people that got a lot of money. Like, I mean, like a lot of money. Because when it was those times where they were making something and they could have spent it, they were reinvesting it into. They weren't like being cheap and just saving it. Because I don't even believe in like just saving money for no reason.
Right.
So I think it's a waste of time.
You have to invest it.
Like, why would you like save for a rainy day just in case, but just to take your money and save it for what? So you could go on vacation later and spend it all there? What's the point?
Yeah, I agree with you. But I think a lot of the problems we have in this world now is shitty parenting, man, for the most part. Shitty fucking parenting. I think that's the problem. I think one of the major problems that we have.
Yeah, but when did that start, do you think?
I think it's not when. I think it's always been the problem. I think there was always a handful of shitty parents.
Yeah, I guess there's always gonna be shitty parents. And
yeah, they
some
don't know how to raise their kid. They spoil their kid.
Some people grow up normal with one parent, you know.
Well, I'm not even talking about single parents. Yes, I mean, all right. It's tough.
Harder to raise a kid.
It's tough for a single parent, absolutely. But I know a lot of people that come out great people from a single parent. You know, some people are fortunate to have two parents, but they're still dipshits because their parents did a really shitty job raising them. Like, I remember I was at Blockbuster, right? And
like what, a week ago?
Nah, man. I was 19 years old. I was working there. And I'll never forget how this kid was like, Mom, are you fucking stupid? I already have this. And she's like, I'm sorry. Yo, I guarantee you, if I said that to our mom in public, whoosh, she'd slap me right in the fucking face in front of everybody. She wouldn't give a shit. First of all, the way I was raised, I would never say that shit to her, especially in public.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by shitty parenting. How are you going to just let your kid walk all over you and say some shit like that?
Shitty parents.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like, I hope my kids never watch like reality shit like that, like Kim Kardashian or whatever. But
you can't stop it. And they'll love what they love.
But Jersey Shore is also wrong, you know?
No, I know. Look,
but it's fucking entertaining.
It's entertaining. Fine. Let them watch all this entertaining crap. I think it's our job to, first of all, set a precedent. Have a household where they should even know all this before you have the talk with them. Right? And when I mean the talk, I'm not even talking about the sex talk. I'm talking about the talk like...
I don't think I ever got the talk.
We never got the talk. But I'm talking about when you get the talk, I mean the talk like, look, you could watch this. I get it. It's fun. But you just have to understand that this is not how real life is. That's all. And that's it. You know?
You know what's funny? I remember like in school, like elementary school, people would talk about having the talk with their parents or their parents having a talk with them. And I was always like wondering, like, what talk? Like, what's this talk about? When am I going to get it? Did I already get it? Not know about it?
You know what's funny? I feel like a lot of progressive Americans have the talk with their kid. It's funny because I have a buddy who's Italian, and his parents came from Italy. And
I was going to say, I thought they came from Greece because they're Italian.
Oh, no, and our parents also came from the former Soviet Union. So I've noticed with like foreign parents, right, they don't really have the talk, right? And my Italian friend said the same thing. He never got the talk from his parents. And I know Greek people that also told me they never got the talk from their parents, you know. So I think it's a very progressive American thing to do, to get the talk, if you will. But
what do they talk about usually?
you know, it's about sex, and I don't even know if
How to use a rubber.
I mean, yeah, like they try to tell them like safe sex, this and this and that. Our family is very conservative in that case, though. They're gonna, you know,
Don't ask, don't tell.
it's more of a don't ask, don't tell, but it's also you should get married kind of a thing at a young age, and
Which
you know,
obviously that hasn't happened yet.
and it hasn't happened totally, but and my friend is my age, so he's also not married yet, but it's crazy because I don't know, is it right to have the talk with your kid, or is it not right to have the talk with your kid? That's what I'd like to know about it.
I'd also like to know about it, but I don't think it's right to have the talk with your kid. And I'll tell you why.
Is that?
Because you're supposed to be talking to your kid already from a certain age, not about sex necessarily only, but like you said, you set the precedent,
Right.
with other subjects, and obviously they're in school, and you know, young boys and are horny and shit, so they'll learn. And people are not dumb, like they know what thing, like the young people know what certain like things are without learning from their parents or anything like that. So I think as long as you set a good foundation, they'll eventually realize what to do, not, and you just have to hope for the best, because you could be the best fucking parent ever, and kids always pull dumb shit. Like how much dumb shit did you do?
A lot of dumb shit.
And you just hope that, like the kids don't really fuck up, or they land in jail or do something stupid to, like, fuck their life up. And you just fucking hope for the best, cross your fingers.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like there's no right or wrong necessarily. I think it's just a preference. And because like when you teach your kid, like, oh, like let's say the kid's 16 and they have the talk with the parents, and the way that progressive American parents can be, they're basically saying, you know what, the kid's gonna have sex anyway, so we might as well teach them about protection and tell them, like, if you're gonna do this, make sure you do it this way and that way and whatever. Look, I never had the talk. And I think that I already kind of knew that on my own, because in school, like you said, they teach us these things. Like in health class, I'll never forget, we had a whole class on sex and how you have to use protection. And this one guy, she gave us an example, had sex with protection all the time. And then the one time he didn't, he got AIDS. I'm like, whoa, that freaked me out. I'll never forget that. I still think about that to this day, actually. So, I didn't have to have the talk. I just knew what I was kind of doing. And, with the way our parents, I think, were, it's safe to say that, and a lot of foreign parents are like this, they don't want their kid having sex at a teenage age. And we have like this fear of our parents where we wouldn't even think of doing something like that because we're afraid of getting our asses kicked by our parents.
Well, I didn't have to worry about that at a teenage age anyway, so...
Why?
Because, it didn't come easy to me, so...
Nah, but you know what I mean. So...
It was also so awkward back then,
It's awkward, but, again, I don't think I'd be comfortable telling my kid at 16 years old, hey, you're going to probably have sex anyway, so if you do it... Like, I'd want my kid to... Like, I'd want somebody to experience sex when they're older than 16.
Well, if you think
I don't think they're ready at 16.
2 years later, they're off to college.
Yeah, okay.
So 17, they're seniors in high school, right?
Right.
I think they even have the talk earlier, because 17, they're definitely having sex.
I think people get the talk as early as 15.
Yeah. So 17, they're definitely, shit is going down for sure.
Because I remember my first girlfriend told me that she lost her virginity when she was 16. And I think she told me her parents gave her the talk too.
Did she listen?
I mean, obviously they pretty much gave her the green light, and they would like let her go to house parties and shit. The way we were raised is different. Our parents were up our asses. We were like, "Where are you going? Who's gonna be there?" kind of a thing. And if they found out it was like a house party with like no super, like we wouldn't be able to lie to them.
You know, it's funny.
There's no way they'd let us go to that shit.
I had a friend in high school who, like, would say, like, I would say, yeah, I can't come or whatever, or I got to be back at a certain time, you know. And he's like, what do you mean? You're a grown man, you know, like. And I'm thinking, like, yeah. Now I'm thinking, like, yo, I was a fucking kid, you know, like, yeah. Obviously, I'm more responsible, I guess you could say. There's people who, you know, take care of their younger siblings at that age or whatever. But with our parents, the way that they were strict, it's like you still rely on them to eat food. You still rely on them to have a roof over your head. So it's like you're not a grown man, you know. And that kid was also, he still relied on his parents, so he was just talking shit. And I just thought it was funny, like when you look back and you have such a different world that you like when you feel nostalgia.
No, you said it right the first time.
I feel like there's a longer word.
No, that's the word.
So so you look back and you're like, wow, life was so different back then, you know. And now you're like, I'm not like that anymore, so it's good.
Well, also, when I was a kid, I remember I went to a bar mitzvah. A friend's bar mitzvah. I was 13, and he was 13. I went to his bar mitzvah, and we were all kids, right? No, listen, I'm getting to something here.
Okay.
All right? We were all kids. Like, that's it. We were just all kids. It was very innocent. We were all kids. Then, now, when I go to a bar mitzvah, or a bat mitzvah.
Why are you going to bar mitzvahs, bro?
What do you mean? We have relatives.
Oh yeah.
What are you talking about?
Once in a while. Yeah.
Anyway,
you just made
we went to my friend's siblings' bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah, and they have a huge age difference. So this was also a few years back, and then recently we went to our cousin's child's bat mitzvah, and I gotta say,
oh yeah, that's right.
The way these kids dress now, I felt very uncomfortable being there.
Very uncomfortable.
I'm thinking like, damn, you're 13. What the fuck are you wearing? Or 12.
I don't even know what they're eating too, because damn, like, you know, you gotta look down because you're afraid to, you know.
Yeah. I feel so uncomfortable that when I see them, I'm like, oh man, I gotta like turn my head the other way. I'm like, what is this shit?
And it's not your fault, because if you're looking,
they're dressing.
Their back is faced to you, and then they turn around and you're like, oh shit, the fuck?
Yeah, like what the fuck? I don't want to see this shit. It makes me very uncomfortable, and I'm thinking, how are these parents letting this shit happen?
Yeah,
because back in our day, I can't even say it was our parents, because back in my day, I mean our day, I remember when I went to the bar mitzvahs or parties, whatever, everybody was dressed like fucking kids. Why are we so quick to let people grow up? Why can't we just let kids be kids? Why can't we just... And you know why this happens? Because the majority allow their kids to dress however they want, and then the other kids are not allowed to dress like that, and they're like, Mom, Dad, but they're wearing that, I want to wear that. And then the kids... And I don't know why, but the parents, like every generation we look at, parents are just getting more and more fucking lenient. And I think it might have something to do with money, believe it or not. Because now that I think about it, right, we come from a family of immigrants. Like, we were born here, but our parents come from the former Soviet Union. Mm-hmm. Our friend was born here, but his parents are from Italy. And I know a lot of people from where I'm from, like in Queens, where Forest Hills, whether you're white, black, Latino, Asian, those people all were like middle class people, right? And they all had like apartments. They were just average people, and they were a little more conservative with their children, right? But when you look at those rich kids from like big ass houses, like in Bel Air or whatever, or anywhere in Long Island or New Jersey, right, wherever there's big houses and there's a lot of rich kids, they're the ones that their parents are just so much more lenient with them wearing whatever the hell they want. And it's like, why? So it has to be a money thing, I think. I think it's related to people having more money, and I'm trying to figure out why is
But
that.
where's the correlation though?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. So
Because if the parents are wealthy and both parents are working full time, or at least one of them, that means one parent is at home. So if anything, it should be reverse. But that means that the way they grew up, what their parents were lenient with them.
no, not necessarily, because I've seen parents now that they grew up under a very strict household, right? And now they're very lenient with their kid. But they also have more money now. So I'm thinking like, is it because they were like oppressed by their parents and they felt like, oh, I didn't get to enjoy this, so I want my kid to enjoy it? Or like what is going on? Like this is the culture now, and I think maybe, I don't know, but maybe because now the family has more money, they're too busy worrying about getting more money and they're always focused on their careers. But I don't know, because I feel like when I grew up in Queens, our parents, and everybody in my school, their parents, they were hard workers. They were always like, if anything, they valued money more. So it's something between rich, I think
I
I've
don't.
noticed, versus middle class and poor.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't know if it's has anything to do with money necessarily.
I think it does, but okay. Because
I think it doesn't though, but
go ahead, finish why, and then I'll tell you why I think so.
because if you look at the other generations, they were much more conservative with their dress. Like look at the obviously from the 20s, right? Guys always wore suits. Women, showed no skin at all, and then it got progressively more open and open and open, and now we have here. Not only the parents, but it's also what we see on TV, the media, how they portray like characters, animated characters on these different networks. So it's a combination of different things that is bottling up, and with their cell phones and smartphones now. So I think it's just the times are shifting, and I think eventually maybe you'll start to get back to a little bit of.
I don't know. I don't know, because it's not like the 1920s were yesterday. I think
No, but that's like the most conservative time that I could think of.
What do you mean? I think the 1950s was very conservative also, the way people dressed. I think the 60s started this whole revolution on how people would dress and express themselves.
Right, and these parents that are raising these kids now are from the 60s
Right.
and 70s.
Right, but still, I feel
So
like
it's about a
again,
30-year gap.
so then maybe it's has nothing to do with money. Maybe it has more to do with where you're from.
Yeah, because look at Woodstock, right? That was like that was like the modern day Coachella is like what Woodstock was back then, right? So same shit. They all dress the same.
So wait a minute. So my friend that's Italian, his parents were very strict with him, very conservative. Our parents, former Soviet Union, very strict, very conservative. Then you have people from Greece, Latin America, right? And all over the world almost, where if you're first generation born here, your parents are foreign, they're very strict with you, and they want you to be very conservative with the way you express yourself. So
There's a lot of Soviet Union parents that are not strict with their kids.
So then we're gonna say that it has nothing to do with where your parents come from.
I think it does. I think the majority are they make sure that the values are that go to the next generation, because the way they were the way they grew up, they pass it on.
So do you think that, so since we were born in this country, We're the first generation in our family to be born in this country. Do you think that our grandkids or our great grandkids will be a lot different than we were with the way they dress and the way they act? They'll have that. Their parents will be more lenient than.
Probably, but I think trends tend to shift a lot. So who knows how things will be by when that happens.
I don't know. I mean, there was always trends, but I remember in high school, let's say, our parents and our grandparents always on top of our asses about making sure we're dressing right and the way we're acting and all that. So I don't know. I feel like
but also
like the girls in our family wouldn't be able to dress the way I see girls dress now at 13 years old is what I'm saying.
But also look at how like these. I feel like even their bodies are they're looking more mature or more older.
You know, I don't think so. I think that because of what they're wearing, it makes it seem that way. That's the whole point. They're wearing clothes they're not supposed to be wearing, and that's why they make those clothes make them look that way. You know, because how can people change? It's not like people are evolving necessarily.
Well, no, they could. My point is that the food that people are consuming
food has always been
no,
unhealthy.
No, it's become. I bet you in the last 30 years, the processed food has become. Just a lot of the food here in general has become a lot more unhealthy.
Maybe, but I really think
and that changes shit up.
I really think it's because of what they're wearing. It's more noticeable. I'm telling you, because the clothes that they wore back then were a lot more humble and a little more conservative, and they actually looked like fucking children, as they should. You know what I mean? Look. I get it. Even maybe when you're 16, but I like to say 18 because 18, you know, you're legal to. Actually, you're not even legal to smoke anymore at 18. I mean, all over the world you are. Not even, but not in the United States. You can't drink till 21 either. But fine, 18's an age where, you know what, fuck it, you're an adult now. If this is how you feel like you want to dress, then dress this way. Whatever. You're an adult. And fine, maybe 16. Maybe. But honestly, like I'd want my kids to be humble and conservative looking at 16. I wouldn't want them to just dress trashy clothes and, you know, I wouldn't want that. You know, if they're 18 and that's what they want to do, that's fine. But 13? 13?
I think kids will naturally want to look more adult than they are. So it's always a fight with the parents to get them back to how they should be looking as fucking 13-year-olds. You know what I mean? And that just reminds me of what I wanted to say before about how a lot of girls I've noticed are trying to look like the Kardashians with their like the way they do the makeup and their like, you know, their like lips and everything like that. And it's like, why? Like, don't you have your own identity? You know, like, why do you want to look like them?
Right.
Is it because you want people to, you know, you want to get more attention from guys maybe because they're popular, so you might get more attention. I don't know, or maybe you just like that look, but obviously genetically you can't look like that, right? So it's like people will find out how you look like anyway in real life eventually. So why are you trying to like?
You know, it's funny.
It's so weird.
It's funny you brought up them wanting to look more adult because I mean, listen, it's natural. Kids always want to grow up quicker. You know,
right.
Like they just want to feel like adults, like
just like 13-year-olds at bat mitzvahs.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Now that you mentioned makeup, I never understood that. Like now that I'm an adult, right, and I'm really thinking about it, I never really liked makeup on women. I love natural beauty, you know? Like when I would wake up next to a girl and I saw that their natural beauty, like they didn't have any makeup, I was like, this is so nice to look at.
Unless they have like crusty eyes, like over here.
Oh, come on. But you know, what's up with this makeup stuff? So what? Because like women complain that they're spending so much money on makeup, on nails. It's not easy being a woman. But
No, a
whoever,
little makeup is not bad.
yeah, it's not bad, and I understand if maybe you want to put it on if you go out on a night out, like for a wedding or something. But what? So I feel like it's like almost a brainwash because like I've heard women say, "Oh, I have to put on a little mascara. I look dead." So your natural look, you look dead. Who told you that? The companies that sell you this fucking mascara? Like that's what it's come to. You know what I mean? And it's like so we're telling women that you're not pretty unless you put paint on your face. And I'm convinced that this is all just a marketing thing. Just like we know for sure that De Beers started the whole you have to buy a diamond and it has to be, I think, 3 times your salary, the value or something like that, something crazy, like maybe even higher. And if you love your girl, you will buy it. Like, so they started that whole trend of getting ripped off on useless diamonds.
Yeah, I remember
and buying engagement rings. And
yeah, maybe
and
it was a marketing thing for makeup too.
And I think it was a marketing thing for makeup. Ew, you look so pale. Put on some makeup. Look pretty. Be a woman.
Well, yeah, I mean, look who they have advertising these commercials. Like
Those
the
Kardashians and models, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like,
and that's just toxic. Also, it's not even good for your skin.
This society convinced women that they're ugly unless they put on some fucking makeup. How fucked up is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but on one hand, also women also I bet will say that they
enjoy it.
They look better too, or they
again,
feel like they look.
But they're saying that because
it's like me when I do my eyebrows. I feel better.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, fine. Maybe it's like when somebody gets a haircut also, but I feel like they're just brainwashed and then they have FOMO. They feel like they're left out because all these other women are doing it. So they want to do it too.
Yeah.
But wow, I don't know, man. I love natural beauty.
I don't mind a little makeup, but when a girl puts it like all over,
I know.
And then you see, and then especially when they don't know how to even blend it by their neck, it's like, come on.
All right, fine. If you go to a wedding or to a party or something, or maybe a nice restaurant, and you put a little bit of makeup, you're going out, fine. I get it. But you know what else I think is stupid about makeup? I'll tell you what it is. So when I did my first movie, Blind Thoughts, in 2007, 8, like that, we were filming. We actually had somebody doing makeup for us, right? It was my friend's mom or whatever. We always had somebody on set that was doing makeup for us. But maybe they were doing it wrong. I don't know. But then I went to, like 2 years ago, I went to do a commercial. I was hired to do a commercial, like for cable. And they also put makeup on me, right? And I looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, I look like a fucking clown. You know what I mean? And then I really notice now, like when I watch more movies and I watch like CNN or Fox News anchors, right? I really look at their faces and I'm like, damn, like even the dudes, right? They all have makeup on their face. And when I film my movies now, I don't put makeup on anyone. And I love the natural look. You could tell if somebody's wearing makeup. That's the whole point. Like, something looks off, man. Like, they just look fucking weird. You can tell
because you're looking for it, but most people don't look for it.
Maybe you're right. Maybe like,
and it does make
I
them
know
look
what it's
better.
all about. So
it does make them look better though. Too.
No, I don't think so, man. I don't think so. Like, I did. So when I was doing that commercial, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say take a picture of how they look like without any filters on. Take a picture of them on how they are when they're broadcasting.
Listen,
they don't have the wrinkles. They have the little dots and shit. They look a lot better. Trust me,
man. Look,
it helps for it's about the money, bro.
I guess.
What are you talking about?
Know. But look, it's just my opinion, and maybe I'm saying this because I'm still young to some degree. But when I was doing that commercial, they put all this makeup on my face. So I was like, yo, cool. And back then I was still thinking makeup is, oh, awesome, whatever. So when I came back home, I decided to film a video, like for YouTube, with this makeup while I still have it on. Which, by the way, was a big mistake because it was so hot. This was in the summer that the makeup started melting and my eyes started burning like fucking crazy. I'm like, I had to take a shower and just wash everything off. But I shot this YouTube video, and now when I watch this YouTube video to this day, I'm like, oh my God, I look like shit. So much makeup on my face.
There's also
And I
bad
love the
makeup artists.
natural look. I'd rather just have my natural look.
I think most like YouTube personalities, I don't think they put makeup on.
No, I know. But like all the movies I do now, nobody wears makeup. And they look great. A buddy of mine, he's in his 40s. And, when I see him in movies, he doesn't put makeup on. He still looks great. Yeah, I guess some people need it. But, I think it's a compromise. And my compromise is very simple. And I feel like the world
What's
is
your compromise?
My compromise is that meet me in the middle. We won't do fine. I don't want makeup. You want a lot of makeup. Let's meet in the middle and put a little bit of makeup on. And you see, a good compromise means that both parties are not happy. And I know this is something stupid with makeup, but I'm saying in general, right? I feel like the problem with the world that nobody wants to compromise and everybody's too extreme. This is what's going on in politics, right? You have one extreme versus another extreme. And the reason why these people are extreme is because they're selling to extremists that pay attention to them. Moderate people are too busy to pay attention. So that's why these politicians don't cater to moderate people, because they're too busy. They're normal. Like, who's normal out there? Is there a news station that's normal and moderate? I mean, I guess you can argue maybe CNN is. They're pretty left, though, no?
I wouldn't say CNN is moderate. I feel like the CNN is left and Fox is
No,
right.
I always thought, okay, so Fox is right wing, CNN is left wing. But isn't MSNBC like even more left than CNN?
Yeah.
So, okay, but whatever. There's no moderate news station. And this is what Joe Rogan, I think, was talking about on his podcast, actually.
Yeah, there isn't, but why? Because they don't make them.
Because it doesn't sell.
They're not gonna sell.
It doesn't sell. Moderates don't pay attention to this shit,
Bro,
so they're not selling to moderates.
Chris Cuomo went on a rant saying like he's tired of talking about Trump all the time, and he's basically saying it's about the money. Like,
yeah.
They might not believe half the shit they're saying.
Look, man,
they're getting paid millions.
I get the frustration with Trump. I really do. And I think the best thing to do is to just vote him out. But when I go on Facebook, all I hear and all I read is people saying Trump this, Trump that. It's so fucking annoying already. It's exhausting. Fine, you don't like him? Let's vote him out in November. I'm all for it. But until then, what can you do?
Yeah, but no one shows up at the polls to vote him out, though.
I don't know. That's a whole nother problem, I guess. But the thing is, Joe Rogan was talking about how there's no moderate news station, number one, and there's nobody to just take the facts and just to say it in a very unbiased way. So like Fox News and CNN will report the same kind of news with a spin. So it's like saying the cup is half full, cup is half empty kind of thing. So you're giving people the news, but since you're putting the spin on it, it kind of distracts us with what the news is, kind of, because we're interpreting it in a certain way.
Yeah, because you only hear one side.
Sure. That's why Joe Rogan was saying, wouldn't it be great if you just have somebody saying the news in an unbiased fashion? And then the guy that was with him on his show says, but Joe, that's what you're doing. That's what a lot of podcasters are doing. And a lot of people are not happy about that. But that's why they're heroes in a way.
Yeah, but even podcasters have to think and before they plan to say something like, oh, would we get castrated for saying something like this, even though it's not taking us the right wing side or not taking the left wing side?
I don't think
and
podcasters
they're
have
holding
to worry.
back.
I don't think so. They don't necessarily hold back because they have nobody to truly answer to. YouTube, like, so they broadcast their
What do you
things.
mean? What if they what if they rely on sponsorships and then obviously people have to get paid also, you know? Doesn't mean you're a sellout. You just like to get sponsorships, you to get to pay bills, and certain companies won't fuck with you. Then maybe most companies won't fuck with you because
Yeah.
the world right now, or the social world, is leaning mostly on one side right now.
I think there are people like Joe Rogan though that don't give a shit because first of all, Joe Rogan's very powerful in podcasting. I think he's probably number one,
But when did
arguably,
he start though? He started years ago,
years ago.
which he was probably one of the first
Yeah.
to do it.
So I don't think he gives a shit. I think he'll just say what he wants to say.
But I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the ones who, like us.
But we don't have any sponsorships, you know?
I know, but I'm saying for people
Not yet.
like not all right. What about all the people in the middle that are not the Joe Rogans or not the
Okay, but I'm not talking
Milmans?
about them. I'm talking about Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is so big
Yeah, he doesn't need
that
that
he
shit.
is like a news platform for
Yes.
us to go and just listen to neutral news, neutral opinions, unbiased, you know? And
Yeah,
that's
but-
enough. And you see, it's great if we could have more, which I'm sure there's more, right? But yeah, you're right. Not every podcaster is going to be like Joe Rogan. There's going to be sellouts that are afraid. And when I say sellouts, I'm not trying to say, I know it sounds disrespectful, but I get it. Like you said, they rely on sponsorship and they have every right to want that sponsorship. It's fine. But, Joe Rogan, in my opinion, is a hero. And I think there's definitely some more people out there like him who have the balls to say whatever the hell they want. But Joe is not even like hateful either. Like people get upset at him, I think, but he doesn't really say anything wrong. He's not openly like offending people or openly
Yeah, but people are gonna get
castrating
offended at
people, like
everything, man.
outcasting people, I should say. He just says what's on his mind.
People are gonna get offended at everything now. So
I don't think Joe Rogan's a hateful person. I think he's just,
Well, you could say what's on your mind and still, it could still sound hateful, even though you're not.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like for instance, there was I did a video blog on this. There was a video of an obese girl. She's a webcam model, and she doesn't show her. She's not naked or anything, but people pay to watch her eat food, and she stuffs her face with like disgusting fattening food.
Sounds hot.
And I comment on it before I made the video blog. I commented on this saying this is terrible. She needs help and whatever. And people freaked out on me saying, mind your business. If she's happy, let her be. But my question is, first of all, that's what it's all about, right? That's what Facebook's about, to throw our 2 cents. If everybody is supposed to stay silent on Facebook and not talk, then what the fuck's the point of Facebook?
I'm so tired of that shit, man. I don't give a fuck what people say. Well, no, I do. That's true. That's a lie. But you gotta, I don't even know what I was gonna say, honestly.
But what I was gonna say is that I deserve to put my 2 cents there. It's my opinion, and I wasn't being hateful. I was actually caring about this person, saying, and it's not about being fat. Oh, you look bad. No, it's not about that. It's about your health. And I'm thinking, the way this girl's going, she's not gonna live long.
Well, you know how, as they say, the truth hurts,
Yeah.
and that's true.
But-
It does hurt.
But you know what pisses me off? It's also like, mind your business. If she's happy, let her be. But if we see somebody injecting heroin, we're not going to say that. We're going to try to help them. But I bet you there's still people that are going to say, let them be if they're happy. If
But
they
you know
inject
what?
heroin.
That's what this social media world is all about, and you just gotta ignore the noise.
No, I know.
You have to just split the sea.
How did we get there? How did we get to this conversation?
I don't know,
What were we
but I was
talking
gonna
about?
say one thing though. So, I kind of know what the phrase "the truth hurts" really means now, because like, let's say you're lazy, right? Or you really are, or let's say you are fat or whatever, and you need somebody there, like a friend, to tell you, like, like you could be sitting around and complaining all day, and even though like we all know the truth deep down, and if you're a lazy person, you're complaining, oh, it's not working out for me, whatever, and then your friend finally tells you, you know, just get your ass up because you're lazy, blah blah blah, and they tell you the truth, and like it turns on a light switch in your head, so that it's gonna hurt you because you know you're being called out, your friend is saying negative stuff. Same thing if you're fat and it's time to, you know, lose some weight. Same shit. So sometimes you have to be told what the obvious is, and then you'll actually start to improve yourself, and that's why the truth hurts. So obviously, hearing that shit from strangers on Facebook doesn't help, but it is what it is.
I see what you're saying, but here's the thing. I think that we need to find the balance with staying silent and speaking our minds, because you could be truthful, but that truth can be hurtful. It depends how you say it.
Yeah.
So if somebody says, "Oh, you look at you, you're fat. It's disgusting. Look at you." That's hateful, right?
Yeah.
That's very hateful, and it makes the person feel bad. It's like maybe you're trying to reinforce them negatively, but it's not gonna work. It's gonna make them feel worse. But at the same time, if you're like, "Oh, honey, it's okay. Yeah, you're not fat, or you're just big boned." Oh, or if they're just like, "Yeah, you'll lose weight. Don't worry about it." If you're way too lenient, fine, maybe it won't hurt them as much, but it's not doing any good for them either. And I feel like you do need someone to be truthful and tell them the truth and say, "Look at you, you're fat. And look how much weight you gained. And this is not good. Like, I care about you, and you need to lose this weight. You can do it. And you just have to set your mind to it, and I'll help you." It's not healthy to eat this kind of food, let's say, right? To say that. So it's like you're being mean, but not really,
But calling
because you're
someone
showing
fat,
passion.
But calling your friend fat because, you know, and telling them, "Hey, you're fat. It's time you gotta lose weight," is the same thing as calling someone skinny. That could be hurtful also.
Okay.
So like people say, "Oh, you're skinny. You should gain weight." Hey, why can't I get hurt? You know, because the society said that the opposite is bad.
Okay, but I don't see your point here. Fine. Skinny, fat, brown, green, doesn't matter.
My point is that people could say like just like that, "Oh, you're skinny, you should gain some weight," you know. But we can't say you're fat, you should lose some weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So, but what difference does it make? So you're saying, oh, it's not as frowned upon to say,
Yes.
"Oh, you're skinny, gain some weight."
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter, man. Who gives a shit about that?
What do you mean doesn't matter? It's the same shit. You're still offending somebody. Someone's still getting hurt. So there's always what's that phrase? The
But that's
double-edged
not.
sword.
Listen, that's
Catch-22.
fine, but it's a double standard.
Double standard.
But that's
yeah.
not the point, because it's like, okay, if you're too fat or you're too skinny, that's a problem, right? And it's not healthy. That's the problem. So if you tell a skinny person, "Oh, you're skinny, gain weight," yeah, it's not going to hurt their feelings, but the way you say it still applies to their motivation of doing something about it.
No, it could still hurt
So
their
you can
feelings.
say, "Oh, look at you, you're skinny. Ugh, like, gain weight already." Where is how is that a productive statement? It's not. Because it's like, fine, it's not as offensive, but it's not productive. I'm talking about being productive with your message.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. And that's why it pisses me off. Like, that's why I love basketball, right? And that's why Kobe Bryant is like one of my top heroes. And right now we were watching the Last Dance documentary with Michael Jordan. And, you know, he was all about competitiveness. You know, and he wasn't afraid to come up to your face and tell you that you suck and that you have to play better basketball if you want to win this championship. And I feel like there's two extremes, and Michael Jordan, the way he was like that balance, and the other two extremes are, right, where you're extremely like liberal about it, like in like high school sports. "Oh, everybody's a winner.
You're beating around the bush.
Everybody's a winner. Like, we're all winning. Don't worry, you'll do great next time." Like, if you're too chill, then the person will never feel the urgency to get better. And then if you're a complete piece of shit and you're like, you fucking suck, you're never going to be good, fuck you, that's also counterproductive because the person's just going to hate himself and he won't believe that he could ever be good. And he's just a failure and a disappointment. But you have to have that balance, man.
But my point is that there's always double standards, and no matter which direction.
But
So
we're talking about two different things now. Right now, you're talking about. I'm talking about sending your message the right way, and you're just making your case about double standards.
No,
that's a different conversation.
No, it's not, because you could send your message the right way. Like that video we saw today with that other comedian about women's soccer. He was sending his message, but you could easily say, "Oh, he's sexist or offensive, whatever." But he was just sending his message. So there's a way to send your message but you could still offend people, even though you're saying it the right way. You know what I mean? Because people just want to be offended because they're just looking for something to attack.
Okay, but like, all right. So, for instance, when I made that video blog about the obese girl, right? People still got offended because people are writing like most people are.
But
like,
you're sending a message though in the
right.
video.
But most people agreed with me, and they said the way you said it was fine. Like they wrote comments.
So let me ask you this, real quick. Then why does it even matter? And I'm not asking you directly, but just in general. But why does it matter what, like, if 10 people agreed and 3 people didn't agree?
Mm-hmm.
Why even? Who gives a shit about those 3 people? They're in the minority. Because they care about what the majority thinks, right?
Well, that's what I was about to say. I was about to say that when I did that video, and I know for a fact that I'm not somebody that's going to make fun and try to fat shame. And that video, because it came from the heart, where I was like, listen, this is a concern I have. This person is like destroying their life because they're trying to make money on a webcam by having perverts watch her eat fattening food. That's ridiculous. So I was like, wow, this is fucked up, and she's killing herself. So I made this video, and most people are like, yo, don't listen to anybody. You didn't say anything wrong, and we love your message. And but the point is, like you just said, you're always going to offend somebody.
But those people should be shamed for saying, "Oh, if she's happy, it's fine." No, because what lines do you draw?
That's counterintuitive, and you think like you're being nice because you're being like, "Oh, it's okay," like, you think you're being supportive, but in reality, you have to, it's like the truth hurts, and that somebody cares and they're your friend when they tell you that truth. You know what I mean? Only people that are not your friends are not going to tell you the truth, I think, because they don't care. And then there's a truth, but you can say it. There's false truths, though. Okay, let me rephrase. I'm sorry.
Please do.
Because that didn't make sense. When we were watching Unorthodox, and I mentioned this in the previous podcast, what pissed me off was that when she was playing piano, right? The other girl said, you suck, basically, and you should just give up, right? I'm sorry. You should give up. You're not good.
Well, that was like what you were saying with the message.
So here's the thing, though. I don't believe that she genuinely meant that she sucks because she actually thinks that. Or maybe she thinks that in the wrong way, like, that's relative. In her eyes, she sucks because she wants to see her suck, because she's jealous of her. She doesn't want to see her succeed. There's a difference there. Because if you actually cared for that person, and you could have went up to them and say, listen, I love what you're doing here, but you need a lot of room to improve. That's different, because you're basically telling them they suck, but you're telling them that they have to work on themselves. You know what I mean? There's a difference there. She's saying give up and this and that. She doesn't want to see her steal her thunder. There's a difference there. Okay? And then, there's people that can say, oh, honey, you're so good. Like, let's say somebody has a child and they're a singer, let's say. Like, we were watching Curb Your Enthusiasm and this happened. Remember when Susie and Jeff's kid was singing? And they're, oh, you're so talented. And Larry's like, she's not talented. And she's like, shut up, Larry. Who the fuck do you think you are saying that my daughter's not talented? But she really wasn't talented. You know what I mean? So, you know, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but
you know, it's.
I feel like I got lost in my conversation. Like, I know where I'm going with this, but I got lost. Like, oh, give me directions.
I'll give you some direction right now.
Give me some
What
directions.
I'm gonna say. It's kind of like if you're a certain age and you suck, but obviously you could get better, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna be a superstar right away. So you do need that boost of motivation. You get it? Like if you wanted to be a singer, and you were obviously really committed to being a singer, but you're like, or fine, let's take that girl from Unorthodox, for example. She was a piano player. She was good, but she wasn't good enough to compete for that scholarship or whatever. So if we said to her, like, yeah, you suck, give up, because you ain't shit, then she'd get crushed and she probably would become even worse at her craft. But if she let's say she didn't compete for that scholarship, and we said, yeah, you're good, but you need some work. You need to work on it. Okay, so it's like, I know that there's still an uphill battle, and I'll get there eventually. So that's, you know what I mean? Like, you can't step on their neck, but you have to kind of give them that boost, but also make sure that they know that they're not there yet.
Okay, now I have a question for you. So thanks for those directions, because what you were saying actually helped me get my thoughts together. What do you tell somebody if they actually do suck? Like, let's say they do, like they're just a shitty singer. They want to be a singer, right? But they just suck. Or whatever. What do you say to them? Because if you say, yo, you fucking suck, man. You can't sing for shit, right?
Sometimes it's good enough.
That's fucked up. But then if you're like, oh, honey, that's so great, you're not doing them any good either.
But you know what sucks though?
So would it be cool to just be like, you know what? I got to talk to you. I know you want to sing, and I know you want to be in the music business, let's say. But I'm telling you, you just don't have that gift from God. And it's like, how do you, because like, what if they arguably can develop? Because, all right, I think there is situations when people are so truthful, like they're right about something like that, right? But at the same time, people told Lady Gaga that she's never going to be a great singer, that she sucks, and now she's a fucking legend.
Yeah, but we need more context to that.
Yeah. But like, you know what I think? I think that naturally people are not stupid, so if they have a love for something, right? But then I don't think it's anybody's job to tell them that they can't do it.
Yeah, but
because they will have a natural love for what they're doing. And people love doing what they're good at, right? People love doing what they're good at. You know how many times people said, I tried to be an actor? Like, there's a girl that I know and you know her too from social media. She told me that her dream was to be an actress at first. And after auditioning and doing that, she somehow stumbled upon yoga. And she told us that she told me, actually.
I don't know anyone like that.
You know her, trust me. I'll show you a picture. You'll be like, oh, her. So she now became a yoga instructor and she teaches yoga. And she told me that she's happy teaching yoga because she's good at yoga. She enjoys it. She has a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So she left acting. And I think all people, no matter what they want to do, I don't think people are dumb. I think if they realize on their own, you know what? I loved, like me. Like look at me. I loved basketball growing up. Loved it. I loved it so much. I loved watching it. I loved playing outside on the street.
And I'm always there to tell you, you would never make it to the NBA. Trust me.
But you know what? I'm one of those kind of people that take negative reinforcement well, in a sense where I don't embrace it, but it fuels me up. Like when you told me that one guy I can't guard him, I was like, what the fuck did you just say? And I proved you wrong because I wanted to prove you wrong. I wanted to, and he was tough to guard.
I don't remember you.
He was very tough to guard, actually. And then after you said that, I made it my fucking mission to shut this motherfucker down.
That's why I said it to you, because I knew I was doing.
Yeah, bullshit. I think whatever. Maybe not. I don't know if you're telling the truth. The point is, I loved basketball so much, but I'm no dummy, man. I knew I was never talented enough or physical enough to actually play professionally in the NBA one day. Because if that were the case, I would naturally join the team. Like I feel like I would be coursed during toward these directions. And when you realize that you're not that good, you don't want to move forward because, you know,
I'm going to say this.
Because you have to enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it on that level, then you're not going to want to be a part of it. So I think in conclusion to the point I was making, it's not up to us to tell people you're not good and you're not going to make it. Because I have a buddy. No. I have a buddy. I'll tell you, and I said this before, I'm going to say it again. I have a buddy who wants to be an actor, let's say, and he's not very good. But in my own movie, I was willing to take him on and work with him. So, you know, because he had a certain part. It was a small part. And it's, you know, when you have a small part and you're not that good, it's easy to work with you.
So why'd you just cut me out of one of your sketches completely then?
I never cut you off. I never cut you out. Yeah. I never cut you out. And even if I did, that's not your passion to be in a sketch. It's not your passion.
How do you know? What if it is?
It's not. Avi, come on. Let's not, fuck around here. I'm trying to say some real shit. All right? So, by the way, this is something that I forgot to say last week or last time. In Unorthodox, she says, and I feel comfortable saying this, even though it's a Jewish thing, because I feel like Islam and Christianity are all intermixed, you know? But she says in the Talmud, it says, if not you, then when? And if not now, if not you, then who? And if not now, then when, right?
Some real shit.
And that reminds me of when I was writing a script, 2007. I was at work writing a script, and the security guard comes up to me. He's like, hey, Mike, what are you doing? I said, yeah, I'm writing a script. For what? Like, you want to pitch a movie or something? I'm actually shooting this movie. What are you wasting your time for? He says. I'm like, what do you mean wasting my time? You know how hard it is to be an actor? Everybody wants to do it. He's like, you should get like a regular job or something. I'm like, well, let me ask you a question. I said, what'd you want to be growing up? He said, I wanted to be a baseball player. I'm like, well, why didn't you pursue it? So the difference is he didn't even try because he just assumed that everybody wants to be a baseball player. That's what he told me. He says, everybody wants to be a baseball player. So I'm not going to make it.
Maybe that wasn't truly his passion, though.
But that's what he told me. And then I told him, well, what if Alex Rodriguez said the same thing? What if, what's his name? Derek Jeter said the same thing? Whatever. You get the point.
Yeah.
What if they also assumed that? Now, whether or not he was actually telling the truth or not, I don't know. But you can tell after I said that, he was like this. He was like thinking about it. You know what I mean?
He's like, shit.
Right. But it's different though if you try, and then you just realize you're not good at it. I think that you wanna pursue things you're good at. I think people are smart enough to pursue things that they want to pursue.
I think to your point though, there's always, well, number one, there's always going to be more people who don't make it versus make it, because especially sports, singing, dancing, acting, etc., there's always a bigger crowd that doesn't make it. So either they give up because they just realize they're not good enough, or they're like that girl who ends up finding a new passion. So she didn't make it, but she's doing something she loves instead.
Which girl?
That girl that you said that does the yoga.
Yeah. Or they find passion within the same field, just different. So for instance, you love basketball. Like, I didn't love it so much that I ended up working as a towel boy or some shit, or as a coach. Oh, that's another thing, right? I'm sure there's a handful of coaches that were not good enough to actually play basketball, but they're good enough to coach, so they're coaching. So they're still in the mix somehow. That's like saying if you're a really bad actor and you realize you're a bad actor, you don't want to continue being an actor because you're not good at it. You don't have that potential to keep going.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't know that.
So you change, and then you could become a director, you could become a producer, you could become other things.
But sometimes some people spend a lot of time on something and they are just maybe oblivious, and sometimes they do need to be told, like, look, and it's hard to say that to somebody, like, oh, look, you suck, because then if they do make it, you're gonna feel like an idiot, but there's ways to tell. Like, if someone wants to be a singer, like, we're not, they're the people who are like the scouts or the label executives, they have a different type of ear than regular folks. So to them, they might say, oh yeah, or to regular people, we might think, oh yeah, she sucks at singing. But to executives, they might think, oh, she's good, we could fine tune her. It's just like in an NBA when there's a draft, and like, all right, this guy sucks at shooting, or he's a little slow, but with training camp we can make him better. So yeah, but there's ways to tell when someone needs to hang it up already.
But it's not up to us, it's up to the person. And I'll tell you something, like, for instance, real quick, one guy I knew started out as an actor, and then he realized it's not for him, and now his passion's directing. So he strictly directs. He doesn't like acting anymore. I enjoy singing. That's something you didn't know about me. Surprise. I enjoy it. But my voice sucks. It's horrible. It's like when you scratch a chalkboard. It just sounds like shit when I try to sing. And trust me, I know that I can't tune this in to be a great voice for singing. But because of that,
don't know.
But because of that, I don't enjoy it on a professional level. I enjoy it in the shower.
Yeah, but so does everyone else.
But if my voice was dope, then trust me, I'd enjoy singing on a professional level, and I would pursue it. I would know I'm good enough, and I would continue doing it. I wouldn't care what anybody says to me. I wouldn't pay attention, and I would keep going until I make it.
Actually, we know a guy who has got a good singing voice, and he's not pursuing it.
Who's that?
I'm not going to say his name, but, I'll show you after.
We know a guy.
Yeah. He's a friend. A mutual friend. But anyway, a lot of people who are good, they don't actually pursue it because they have bills to pay. They have to actually have a regular 9-to-5 job.
I got bills to pay.
And then there's people, it's all about the mindset. You know? And there's people who are shitty singers and shitty actors who made it and are acting. It's I think it's just about how you pursue it. It's versus about the talent and skill.
Listen, I was never recognized for my talent as an actor necessarily. Nobody ever came up to me and said, hey, you should be an actor. Like, people said to me, you should be a comedian, a public speaker, a lawyer, shit like that.
But who tells people they should be actors?
Right, nobody.
You only know if you're a good actor if you're on a big film.
So the thing with me, though, is that I love acting, right? And I love it, and I believe that I'm good at it. Do I think I'm the best actor in the fucking world? No. But I don't think I'm horrible either. And I definitely have room to improve. And I want to pursue this, right? Because I love it. Now, if I felt I just don't have that skill, I would not enjoy doing it. And I would want to stop doing it naturally because, what's the point? You're just beating a dead horse. But I've had people tell me, you're a great actor. And they meant it. Like, when somebody means it and then they don't. But then I also had people that told me, you're not a great actor. You should stop.
Yeah, I mean...
So everybody has an opinion. And at the end of the day, you should just do what's in your heart.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if someone could tell me to stop working on what you're trying to do. You've been doing it, or you've been trying to do for a while.
Yeah.
So from their perspective, they only see outside looking in. And they see me trying to sell coffee for a long time, and it's not like getting off the ground. But from what I know, my reality is there's different situations that happened, and I still know deep down there's still a little left of something I want to try before I totally say, you know what, gotta fold the table and move on to something different. And people who try shit who are actually like successful. Like, I don't know, this example comes to my mind, even though it's the show on Curb. What's that guy's name? He wanted to cast Larry David as
Mel Brooks.
Yeah, Mel Brooks. So in reality, if there are guys like that do ballsy things, guys and girls who do really ballsy things that could jeopardize their career, and they say fuck it, and this happens in the NBA a lot. Like, let's drop the player, let's get a guy for a trade or whatever, let's trade a draft pick, and it could jeopardize the whole team for the next like 5 years. But they say fuck it, they do it, and the whole thing is if you could live with the results, and if you could live with the results of failure and get out of that those ashes, or if you could live with, obviously success is one thing, but if you could live with failure and you could accept what's coming to you, then you could definitely achieve a lot.
You know what's funny about when people tell you, like, let's say you're not good at something, right? They could tell you for two different reasons. They could tell you because they just don't want to see you succeed. So they're going to purposely say that.
Yeah, but most people think that that's the reason why they're telling you that.
Not necessarily. Some people are open about it, I think. But yeah, I think you're right, actually. Most people, when they tell you that, they think they're telling you because they don't think you're good, even though in reality they just hate you and they want to see you as being bad, even though you are good. But then there's people that actually think you're not good, and they're only going to start thinking you're good when you actually become successful. Suddenly they're like, oh, I was wrong. He actually is good, because now everybody says that you are. And then there's people that are just being very honest with themselves, and they're telling you you're not good. And this is when people tell you you are good. They're either very honest with themselves or they just think you're not. And listen, there's actors out there or singers out there that one person can say, hey, I love them. They're great. They're amazing. And then there's other people that are like, I don't see what's so special about them.
But yeah, I think you're right. You shouldn't just go up to somebody and be like, oh, listen, you're a shitty singer, you should give up. Like, if they consult with you and, you're close to them and you see them going through a lot of struggle and you could pinpoint the reason why is because they just suck, then maybe you could have an approach and tell them. But if you just out of the blue, hey, by the way, listen, I think you're a shitty singer, then yeah, you don't have a right to do that.
Look, there's no point of doing that, because, for instance, when when somebody wants to do something, right? You should give them the opportunity to do it, and you should help them do it, right? And let them try it to the max. And on their own, through the result of their product, they'll see on their own. And they'll make a decision on their own, like I've mentioned. And then they're going to say, you know what? No matter what I do, I don't think I have what it takes. So I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And that's it. But there are people that will do it forever because they believe they're good, and then they'll finally catch their break. It's just that maybe they're not consistent. Maybe it's just a tough industry. Maybe there could be a endless amount of reasons on why they're not necessarily succeeding right away.
That's true.
But what keeps them going is seeing flashes of success.
Yeah.
Like I could say that's what keeps me going with everything I'm doing. Flashes of success. Like, oh shit. Okay, this is a stepping stone. I'm going to keep going.
I think I think deep down we know that people like us know that there's something left in the tank, and until the last bit of fuel burns out, can't stop.
Absolutely.
All right.
Before we go, I definitely want to just say one thing. I wanted to say it. We didn't have the chance to say it. But I want to shout out, what's his name? I feel horrible now. Ahmaud Arbery, the man that was shot back in February. And we just found out about it recently, right? Like a week ago.
Well, I think the news just broke out.
The news broke out. And rest in peace. And I think it's fucking crazy and horrible what happened to this man. And he was just jogging. And this was in the southern state. I don't know if this would necessarily happen in a northern state. It's terrible what happened. It was an act of racism. It's a hate crime. And I can't believe that these two guys got arrested only now. And it's like, what's the point? Like, do you think they really thought he was a threat, or do you think they just wanted to kill a black person?
I think that they're just racist.
They're just racist, and they just
Yeah.
found an opportunity to kill him, and then they used an excuse of self-defense, even though how was it self-defense? He was just unarmed, jogging, and they chased him down and shot him. It's crazy. Yeah. And you know, I feel like for a really long time, we knew, obviously, in school, we learned about slavery. We learned about the Civil Rights Act. We learned about how tough black people had it, right? And I felt like we're getting better as a society throughout these years, you know? But then and again, because we're also from New York, but when you hear shit like this now with the access to the internet, and we're adults, so we watch the news, it's shocking that in 2020, shit like this still fucking happens.
Unfortunately, I think there'll always be racism.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about...
I think it's getting better, though.
I think it's getting better, of course. In comparison to 1960, abso-fucking-lutely it got better. But, you know...
1960 wasn't even that long ago, if you really think about it.
Well, it was, 60... It was 60 years ago,
and 1960. There's still a lot of people alive today who went through that stuff. So.
Yeah. So hopefully it'll continue getting better. So rest in peace. And just wanted to, I just felt like we had to shout him out.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. It was a pleasure, Avi. It was a pleasure. I'm so tired. I feel like my vocal cords hurt speaking so much. I just want to chill out and watch a rerun of Curb Your Enthusiasm right now.
Yeah, good idea.
All right, say peace out.
Peace out.
Peace out.